Hey guys, Drifter here. Today we're going to be talking about Black Ops 2, but I'm not discussing it alone. Here with me, I have Luetin.
Hi guys, and yeah, we're going to be looking at Black Ops 2 today because there's a whole sort of culture around the game and a lot of sort of negativity that I've been seeing towards the game recently. So we want to talk about that a little bit, expand on it, think about the changes that are being made, and also look at the changes that they're making. Are they really going to make a big difference? Are we going to see a different type of player coming to the new Black Ops? Do you think that we will, Drifter?
I really don't think that you're going to get a new type of player coming into Black Ops. I feel that a lot of the negativity that you're getting is because you're primarily a Battlefield player. I know that you play a lot of games, and the people on your channel, they play a variety of games, but you have a disproportionate amount of Battlefielders, and they typically don't like Call of Duty games at all. And Call of Duty games are very mass appeal kind of games, and so many people buy them, it would be very difficult to attract a new demographic that's big enough to significantly change how the average player would be or how the overall community is.
I
Just the
think
numbers are against it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. That's definitely true to say. But do you think that with the changes they're making in regards to the objectivity of the game, and particularly thinking of things like kill streaks, and I really like the way that they've set up the classes and the customization that you can have there is really quite strong compared to the previous CODs that we've seen. And a bit of background for you guys, I played all of the COD titles bar Modern Warfare 3, so I do have quite a lot of experience in terms of COD playing and the whole genre itself. I'm really interested in Black Ops 2 because I think we're coming back to this now. We're seeing I think this year they really have looked at what's gone before, and they've looked at the community and they've listened, and I think they've thought about how they want to make the change. Something that I always think is very, very difficult is looking at a game and thinking, okay, what can we change, but what can we keep the same? It's always such a double-edged sword because you can really alienate people and frustrate people, and I often feel like it doesn't matter what a developer does, they're going to annoy people in some way or another. Do you think that the changes they've made so far are really a big positive change, or do you think they're going to frustrate people?
I do. I'm going to admit some willful ignorance about Black Ops 2. I don't follow all of the news all the time and all the little stats because I want the game to surprise me, but I do keep up with it. And what you mentioned in the very beginning of that little segment was the most important, is the change to increase the objective play. Obviously, there's a lot of team deathmatch players. That's the most popular mode in Call of Duty games. But there's also a lot of people that play CTF, Domination, Ground War, Search and Destroy, Demolition, and they normally are not rewarded for the objective. Modern Warfare 3 was the first game to reward you for completing an objective, but I think that was just only flags captured and domination points, if I'm not mistaken. It was still mostly kill-based, so changing this to a score streak method is very nice, and changing the value of the points for killing people around objectives, completing, protecting objectives, should very much so increase objective play outside of Team Deathmatch. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I really do, and this is why I'm very, very interested in this year, and that's why I've also been kind of fighting the corner of COD. Like you say, I'm primarily a Battlefield player at the moment, so trying to explain to these guys that, hey, this year's COD is not going to be the one that we've seen before. People always say the same thing. They're like, oh, it's going to be the same game. It's just going to be reskinned. I always hate that term because I feel like a game is never just reskinned. They look at a lot of elements.
Some games really are just reskinned. Modern Warfare 3, for example, it is a new game. You have new stuff in it. You have new gameplay elements. But a huge portion of Modern Warfare 3 was reskinned from Modern Warfare 2. I said it when the game first came out, and it's still true now, that it was more like Modern Warfare 2.5. It was an improvement to the original, but it didn't take off on its own. It didn't change enough things to be its own game. And also, when you go back and look at like the models and stuff, some of them are pretty much identical. And I don't think that's going to be the case with Black Ops 2. Black Ops 1 was a fairly big departure from the Call of Duty genre that was being established. COD doesn't really change a lot from year to year, but they added dolphin diving and some mostly just quirky guns, and they really took off with zombies. And Black Ops 2, like you said, it seems like they listened to the community. They completely redid the knife. They redid the score streaks. They redid how gun attachments work. The Pick 10 thing, I think, is going to be great. I think you're going to see a lot of people doing interesting things, going without weapons, not having a secondary, not having a primary, and really balancing that perk versus good gun mechanic. And I just have a feeling that this next Black Ops, this next COD game, is going to be a bigger step for change than previous ones. Previous ones, there was like baby steps. This one might be like a full-grown man step.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I wanted to say was that, I think gamers can often be a little bit contradictory. They can want everything. They want big changes in the game, but they want to see the same things that they've seen that they really love about the game. And for a developer, that's a very, very difficult thing to do, because trying to keep things the same, but at the same time give people enough new stuff that they feel like they've got their money's worth is a really, it's a fine line to be drawn. And I think Call of Duty has suffered from this mainly because of its popularity, its size. So when they produce a new one, people's expectations and hype is so high that when the game comes out, often people may be not feeling it so much. But I think this year, genuinely they really have made some big changes. And definitely I agree with Black Ops. I really loved Black Ops. I'm going to be honest though, I'll tell you, Black Ops was the game where I finished, the reason why I didn't get Modern Warfare 3. And I'll tell you what ruined it for me. I don't know whether there was problems with Xbox, but for the PS3, there was a huge, huge issue with the original Black Ops. When I started playing it, I played really hardcore for the first few weeks, really was just non-stop on the game. And then about 3 months into it, we had loads of issues with servers. People couldn't get into games. I don't know if you remember this. People couldn't join as groups and so on and so on. So
that was the same on Xbox. It actually still is to a certain extent, but I'm aware that it was extremely bad on PlayStation.
It did make the game almost borderline unplayable, and in fact the Treyarch forums were crashing on a near daily basis just from the amount of people complaining about it. But the thing that really killed it for me, it wasn't so much the actual issue with the game, because I'm happy to play solo. The issue with me was the fact that Treyarch did not even reply, they did not acknowledge, they did not give any kind of communication for a very, very long time. And that for me was like, okay, if as a developer, if they can't even make that kind of commitment to the community, then I'm out. So I've taken a long break from it, but I'm really hoping and I'm really excited. I'm not being down on them at all, because I really think that this year they've made some big changes and I'm ready to go. I think it's going to be a good one.
Well, game developers don't, what you might have seen is the very end of the uninterested game developers. Modern game developers don't do that. Infinity Ward, when they were a younger company, were notorious for this. They even, their first and maybe only patch for the original COD 4, the original Modern Warfare, they said that every time they patch a game, they assume that it's perfect, it's complete, and they're done, and they dust their hands off, and they're not going to do anything unless somebody complains. You've obviously seen that change in Modern Warfare 2, and significantly with Modern Warfare 3, they had 18 patches. Treyarch, to their defense, there was several balancing patches, there were zombie fix patches, there were matchmaking patches made to at least to the Xbox version. That's going to go there first, because that's about 45% of the users, and then you have about 30% on PlayStation, then some left over on PC and Wii. So the Xbox gets the most attention, but it is kind of a shame that the PS3 didn't get as much love, and I doubt that that's going to happen because there's so much pressure on Treyarch to really, really perform and outsell, because the original Black Ops actually outsold and outperformed in the long run Modern Warfare 3, and Treyarch wants really, really bad to outsell Black Ops 2 over Modern Warfare 3 and kind of like put Infinity Ward in a really hard place to compete. And one of the big things that I think they have going for them is really good community interaction. At least Mr. Vandahar, every time I look on Twitter, he's tweeting something just out there. He's a really good PR guy.
I think it's a really important thing, and I think you need to find a balance between listening to the community and taking a strict line and saying, we don't need to change this. Because the problem that I found, and it happens with Battlefield so much, is they listen almost too much now, and they make a change, but then all the people who were quite happy but weren't, shouting their voices up, suddenly turn around and go, hey, you've ruined our game, and then they start complaining, and it's an ongoing, it's a never-ending cycle. And, I used to be a big World of Warcraft player for like 4 years. The same situation there. People would complain and complain, they make a change, and then the people who are happy complain, and it just goes on and on. So I think they need to be careful with that they don't start changing things constantly all the time, and I'm sure they won't. I'm sure they'll be sensible about it. But I think that as developers, getting involved in the community is really important, because it's not just about people being unnecessarily negative. There's a lot of smart, sensible gamers out there who really want to make good changes to the game and can help, because we all know beta processes are not perfect. You can't get everything out of the game. You can't find all the bugs, all the tweaks, as much as people imagine that you could. You really can't. You have to wait until the game is fully released before you can start seeing all of these things. So it's an ongoing process. And a really interesting thing that I know with PlanetSide 2, I know this is a little bit off topic, but just to bring it in, it's relevant. With PlanetSide 2, their developers, when they've been doing betas and stuff like this and talking, they actually will live stream meetings from their company as developers, so that the community can watch, can see the process in action, and so the gamers can understand the changes that they're making to the game. Now, I think that would be a really interesting thing to see with Treyarch and stuff like that. Whether or not they would ever do it, I don't know, but I think it's great to show that some developers are getting much more involved and actually, bringing gamers in at that kind of base level.
I don't think they would do that because Treyarch is owned by Activision. That is a massive, multi-billion-dollar publishing company, and they have a huge marketing department with a very meticulous plan on how to market this game. And broadcasting their meetings to all these people is a bad idea. Generally speaking, when you tell people on the internet that this game makes money, or a movie is profitable, or as a YouTuber, like those little ads that pop up, give us money, it's this weird kind of thing. A lot of people just kind of assumed that it was free or low profit, or people just did this because they loved it. And if you start seeing these meetings with executives like talking about demographics and things like that, it's really going to take the soul out of the game and kind of crush people's dreams and expectations. But back to the marketing point, they have a very specific plan on how to market this game. I don't know if you've noticed, but some of this information that leaks sort of doesn't really leak. And some commentators get to leak certain things at different days, and weird tweets come out through Chinese sources, or just things like that. And if you start streaming those meetings, especially live streaming them, when you have all these people that already know everything about the game, they're going to say something, they're going to flub up that's going to make their marketing campaign more boring. It's going to make it very difficult. One of the most interactive communities I've seen is DayZ, especially just because their dev Rocket tweets a lot. He actually liked one of my videos and put it on the website, which was really cool. But it does make it very difficult if you're in the game. Like if you are in the community, it's very difficult to remove yourself from that and look at it from a developer perspective and keep everything on track. Like, is this worth our time? Is this worth our budget? Is this really a bad thing, or is there just a very vocal group of people that complain about it? Modern Warfare 3, for example, I just recently posted a video and I said that there is no gun that dominates in all situations. And I had tons of people unsubscribe and send me angry hate messages and leave weird comments saying the ACR and the MP7 dominate all situations because they see that as being the overpowered weapon, whereas compared to other Call of Duty games, they're not even remotely overpowered as some of the weird things you had in Modern Warfare 1 and 2 and some things in Black Ops. But because you have a very vocal group of people that hate the tryhards, that hate the ACR, that hate the MP7, they're going to be extremely vocal about it, and you really get a disproportionate sampling from that. I really kind of lost my topic here, so I'm just going to toss it back to you.
Yeah, I just would say though, when we're talking about the meetings thing, it's very much more to do with the mechanics of the game rather than the minutes and the kind of financial aspects and so on and so on. So it's not like you get to see inside of the company and see all that kind of stuff that people wouldn't possibly see as a negative thing and that will kind of lose their sight of the game. It's more to give gamers a feel that they're making sensible choices and show them some of the changes that are being made, that are being talked about by the developers, coders, etc. Things like that, so that they can see that when they are putting a patch in, it's more to kind of explain to them why they do that. I'll tell you something else as well. I noticed recently that DICE, with Battlefield, when they were making one of their recent patch lists, for the first time I've seen them actually, they put little sub-notes explaining why they put the changes in. Yes. Now normally they don't do that. Normally they just post a list of the changes and it's like, that's what we're changing.
No. The first time they did it, they put it on Reddit. You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that one, no.
Before their first big patch, I remember there was this huge patch, and that really screwed up all my in-depth episodes. They made this post on the Battlefield 3 subreddit and explained their proposed changes and why they wanted to do it, and it was a huge thread. It had like tons and tons of responses, and they actually sat there and read through all of that, and I thought that was a great thing. I mean, I guess that's just because I sit on Reddit too long, but they did do that.
They've had changing involvement. Some things they will post up which are just clear changes and stuff. I think the reason they did that with that first one, and I missed that, I think the reason they would have done that is because the first changes they made were quite drastic. There was a lot of big changes to the game, a lot of mechanic changes, a lot of gun tweak changes and stuff. It was a heavy patch, and I think probably, as I say, I missed that, but they must have done it to kind of try and balance, try and tell the community, hang on, we're making these big changes, but this is why. But I think it'd be so good if other developers could do that, and definitely with COD if they could do that, when they do make changes, sort of say, we've listened to this reasoning and this is why we're doing it, just to try and help people, because sometimes they'll throw these things out there and people go, oh, you've broken this, or you've changed this, or now the game won't work, and blah blah blah. But I think we're seeing that more and more, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think Black Ops 2 is going to be really good, because I think, in 2012 going to 2013, I think gaming is in a very different place than it was a few years ago, and I think all of those changes together are going to make a big difference. One of the things that I think I've heard about, because I haven't played Modern Warfare 3, but I know I've heard about, is the kind of the lag, the latency things and stuff like that in terms of
that's something monitoring. I complain about a lot on my channel. I complain about lag compensation, which is another problem I had in my most recent video. I missed people that were standing still And there's lots of comments like, you bitch a lot about lag compensation, but you just miss these people standing still. But as color blindness, I just wanted to put that out there. I have color blind, so when people sit still or sit in shadows, I can't see them at all. But the lag compensation, ideally, it's a good thing, because if not, your hitbox would be moving really far apart from your model, and you would be like back in the old school Unreal or Quake days where you had to aim way ahead of your target and watch your bullets come out late and things like that. But for some reason, what happened in Modern Warfare 3 is that the averaging or smoothing effect seemed to punish people with good internets more than bad, and just some connections it just didn't like. For some reason, supposedly it's all been removed, and I'll say that I've played it and it plays better now. There's still some element of it there because it's a massive chunk of code, but it does really annoying things, more so in Modern Warfare 3 than any other Call of Duty game I've ever played. I get stuff like bullets going around corners and hitting me, or I'll unload in some guy's face and get no hit markers, and then I fall over dead because he already killed me a second ago. It's not every game, but you get that one guy that connects from like Azerbaijan with 500 millisecond ping, and it drags everybody down into this lag compensating world, and it's very frustrating. I mean, there were some frustrating aspects of the lag compensation in Black Ops, which I'm sure you experienced, mostly with the hitboxes not always being on the bodies and stuff, but it didn't feel broken to me, just kind of like the timing of the bullets. When people were shooting at me, it felt like they were shooting live and not just that they shot a second ago and I'm already seeing it. Yeah.
So I mean, that for one thing, that's the only thing that I've heard that significantly worried me about getting back into Call of Duty, and I hope that we don't have any of those kind of issues when we're going to Black Ops 2. I think it'd be great.
They're going to be there. They will have a type of lag compensation in the game. I'm not sure. I hope it's one that favors me, obviously. But if you don't have any kind of lag compensation, the game will play absolutely weird as hell. So I think that the lag compensation is a good thing if it's managed properly, and I hope they have a really good network code this time around.
I'll say something else though as well, just to bring in a bit of reference to Battlefield, because everyone knows that I'm a big Battlefield player. But I'll tell you, as much as dedicated servers are a really good thing, they're by far perfect. And I've had many games in the last month or two which have been awful to play. Lots and lots of lag. I had one round which I remember a lot of my subscribers commented, where there was a guy literally right in front of me, almost point blank, and I just emptied a clip into him and hit nothing, and he turned around and just put me down. And so you have just as many issues with both ways. Anyway, guys, I think we've had a really good little discussion here, a little thought about the whole thing of Black Ops 2. Is it coming? Is it not? I'm just going to let Drift0r wrap up now, and I thank him for this discussion today, and hopefully we'll have some more into the future when we've got Black Ops 2 coming up and more things to come.
Oh, anytime. Well, as far as wrapping up goes, I'd appreciate it if all you on my channel would go check out Luetin and his channel if you liked what he had to say and his more calm, intellectual analysis of games instead of "I like this, I don't like that," which I see too much of on YouTube. I'd appreciate it if you go and check him out. A lot of Battlefield stuff, but Black Ops on the way.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.